Hey, it's my last few days here in Puerto Vallarta, and dudes and dudettes, check this out. This is the view from my balcony. Super sweet. Went down for a swim over there this morning. So good. Last night there was a huge, massive thunderstorm that I watched come in. Just like amazing. Today I want to talk about soul consciousness and suffering consciousness. These are terms I got from the book Hachumak that I just finished reading a few days ago. And super simple concept. Suffering consciousness, similar to Eckhart Tolle's pain body, kind of like all the stuff, all the layers, all the wounds and traumas and the protective mechanisms that we've created to try and keep ourselves safe. But really, what the suffering consciousness does is it keeps us in suffering, hence the name suffering consciousness or pain body. Soul consciousness, on the other hand, is the consciousness that is more connected to source, more connected to our soul, and through soul to our spirit and to the source of all that is. Soul consciousness, when we're connected to it, there is an experience of peace, of happiness, of joy, even bliss and ecstasy. Suffering consciousness, when we're connected to it, obviously there's not that. There's suffering, there's pain, there's a sense of lack, a sense of what's missing, a sense of what we want more of. It's been something really interesting. This whole trip has been about getting really clear on when I'm shifting out of what I now call soul consciousness into suffering consciousness. And it happens in a flash, in a wink. And so I've started this game of catching myself when my mind goes bloop into suffering consciousness. And it happens a lot, all the time. And so I give myself a point every time I bring myself back. Actually, every time I catch myself. Because it's not always easy to get back. Sometimes your mind just like kind of clicks you into suffering consciousness, and it's just like something stupid, whatever. You're just like thinking about something, and it's like, okay, yeah, come back to center, come back to soul consciousness, easy. Sometimes there's something bigger. There's some, big family issue, or a partner issue, or a work issue, or a money issue, and it can feel more difficult to actually come back to soul consciousness. So I give myself a point every time I come back to soul consciousness, but actually what's more important is when I catch myself leaving soul consciousness and I catch myself in suffering consciousness. That is more important, because that then kind of primes my awareness to be on the lookout for when suffering consciousness has snuck in, and it's really sneaky and it's really seductive, and it really wants to keep us in suffering. It feels like it justifies this by saying that if we stay in suffering, we stay safe. Whether from this lifetime or a past lifetime, if we were too up, if we were too energetic, if we were alive, vital, vibrant, if we had too much fun, oftentimes that was squashed, it was clamped down, sometimes we were punished for it. Stop, be quiet, don't be so crazy, whatever. Don't be so creative. So suffering consciousness feels like it's keeping us safe by keeping a lid on that vitality. But what it's really doing is it's keeping us in suffering. And so now every time I catch myself shifting out of soul consciousness into suffering consciousness, or I catch myself fully immersed in suffering consciousness, ding, I get a point. Boop, 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 you win the prize. And then I do some things to do what I do to get back to soul consciousness. Sometimes it's super easy. Sometimes it's just that awareness. Sometimes I just become aware that I'm out of soul consciousness and I can bring myself back. Sometimes I have to do some breathing. Sometimes I have to exercise. Sometimes I have to stop and pause and do ho'oponopono or offer forgiveness to someone. There's all kinds of things. I've got a whole list. I'll share some of the list that I wrote down the other night. So one thing you can start doing is becoming aware of when you've shifted, and it's both a mind and a body sensation. If your mind is wandering, if your mind is thinking about something, you're probably in suffering consciousness. 98% of the time that the mind is thinking about something and you're not actively in that thought, consciously in that thought, it's suffering consciousness. The other way to notice is your body. How does your body feel? Soul consciousness, your body feels good. It feels alive. It feels vital. There's a warmth, a peace. It's almost like this mini kind of orgasm-y feeling. When you're really, really deep in soul consciousness, it feels really good. If you're feeling anything less than that, you're at least partially in suffering consciousness. For me, this is true for me. It may not be true for you, but I have a very strong body sense, a sensory awareness of my body. So when I start feeling something off in my body, I've set the intention to immediately stop and begin to recalibrate, to check in, to retune my system back to soul consciousness. And it's something that you can do as well. And you'll find your clues, your cues that let you know when suffering consciousness is sneaking in and trying to knock you off track, off the soul train wagon. So that's it for today. There's a lot more about this that I want to share, but this felt really important. It's been really important for me, and it's been a really, really valuable exercise to play this game of catching myself when I'm moving out of soul consciousness and being seduced into suffering consciousness. So give it a try and let me know how it works for you. All right, peace out.